Today's session is about storytelling for investment. We'll focus on how you can prepare a pitch deck that truly connects with investors. Not just a sequence of slides, but actually a compelling narrative that holds their attention and brings you one step closer to securing an investment. This is especially relevant as we head into SIIC fuel. So, if you all don't know already, SIIC is organizing an exclusive Investor Connect for its incubated startup on September 4th, 2025, where many of our startups will get the chance to engage directly with the investors. Today is going to be the prep ground, not just for them, but for other startups as they get ready to pitch to investors. So this is a way, think of it as a useful tool to really sharpen your story when you're in a room with investors, where you're not just presenting your business, but taking your investors through the journey that you've started as an entrepreneur. So let me start with the is my window visible to everyone? Can you all see my next slide? Okay. So first we need to understand how investor pitching is different from any other forms of communication. For example, when you're writing a grant, your focus is more on the social impact of your of your business, of your enterprise, and what novelty you're bringing in with your innovation. When you're doing a corporate communication or general marketing, it's about promoting your brand, encouraging the public to really understand and know who you are. But in an investor pitch, your investor is primarily looking for 3 or 4 things. And that is, what is the problem and is it worth solving? And why is it important to solve this problem now? And they also want to know what is the solution that you're presenting and how are you different from your competitors? How are you capable of solving this problem? What sets you apart from everyone else? And the investor is primarily looking at, can I trust this team to deliver? They are looking for early proof of your of the success of your business, some early metrics. Basically, they want to know whether they will be able to get a return on their investment if they are willing to take a bet on you. And just remember, investors sees hundreds of pitch decks every year and they make up their minds in minutes. So it is very important to really convince the investor with a compelling narrative. So this is the basic workflow of a pitch. So we all are familiar with the basic structure, which is a problem, solution, presenting the market and opportunity, guiding the investor through your business model, go-to-market strategy, traction metrics, financials team, how much funds you're seeking, and the closing. Now this will be the basic structure, but as you can see, I've connected all of them with an arrow because everything needs to be really cohesive to make sure you hold on to the investor's interest. So I think a good example of a tight narrative would be a super hit movie. So first, your job as an entrepreneur is to set the scene. So you set the background, you establish the background, then you introduce the conflict. What is the problem that you're interested in solving? Then your hero enters, your hero, your product or your technology that you've developed with years of trial. And then you bring to how your hero is going to handle this conflict and make your business a winner, all the while making sure that the narrative is held on tightly, and your narrative ensures the interest of the investor, and also maintaining the aesthetics of your presentation. So, how do you start a good story anyway? You start with a hook, you start with a really catchy problem. It can be a statistics, and if it is a statistics, make sure it's well researched and cited properly. If it's a story, a personal anecdote, then you can add in your emotional pinch to it. Or if it's a bold statement, something that makes the investors sit up and take notice, then that would also be great. And then you define the problem very, very clearly, so that the investor doesn't really have to scratch their brains to find out what is it that you're exactly interested in solving. Then back it up with some credible data to prove that the problem is actually faced by a wide section of our society. So here is a good example. So we start this problem statement with a statistics. We are saying that every year small farmers in India lose 30% of their harvest to pest damage. We have cited the source of the statistic below. Then we say our AI powered device reduces their loss by half and pays for itself within one season of harvest. Now, this is something that the investor immediately knows. Okay, so your problem is pest damage, and how you're addressing the problem is through an AI powered device. So the investor already knows what it is and they are interested to learn more about it. So next is your solution or product. So in this section, you need to highlight how your solution, if it's a product or a technology, how it is solving the problem and how it is doing so uniquely. Here, it is great if you can show them an image of your product, or better still, if you have a short product video product demo video, then you can also share that, because investors will be really keen on seeing how that product actually is in practice, and you back it up with some validation data. Now, one word of caution at this section in particular is, if you have a product that you have a model for and it's not developed yet, then it would be better to actually show a model of the product that is carefully curated. AI generated images are easy to detect. Nowadays it's quite easy to tell if an image is AI generated. And the moment you show a series of AI generated images, you immediately lose trust of the investor, because the investor would think that you're not ready yet. You're just, exaggerating the stage of your development. So instead of stating that it's a significant issue and a significant solution, demonstrated. That's always better. So here is one problem that I see quite commonly with pitch decks, and that is listing tech specs one after the other. Now, as an example, I've listed some technical specifications of this particular product. From a non-expert's perspective, if you have the patience to actually go through this pretty long list, can you really understand anything? Can you really make out anything? It's very hard, and I see this all the time when I'm reviewing different pitch decks. I see pages, slides and slides of technical specifications that are really filled with jargon and very hard to understand from a non-expert's point of view. Instead, if I showcase the same product, but now with very simple, easy language that is easy for anyone to understand. So this is actually a fully automated vacuum cleaner that can clean up to large areas. It has a strong suction power, a large dust box. It saves time and effort, and it is easy to upgrade and repair. So you are getting all the necessary information. It's about the usage and its impact in a succinct slide. There is nothing to confuse you here. In this case, you are more inclined to remain interested in this pitch and follow it through, rather than sitting through, even if it is impressive, but slide after slide of technical specification. So next we come to market and opportunity. Now this is the slide where you show the size of the price, but rather than tossing in huge TAM and SOM numbers, bring it to your entry point. What the investor would really be seeking is to know how you are going to target this market. Who will be your first customers? If you've already started generating revenue, who have you targeted first? How have you decided the pricing? Are you targeting the affordable masses, or are you looking for premium customers only? Who are your competitors? To say that I don't have any competitors is actually pretty naive. So instead of doing that, map out the landscape and position yourself clearly. Like, I'm between this person and this company and this. And may highlight what your strengths are. Maybe you're more efficient than the other companies that are available in the market. Maybe you're more affordable than your competitors. Maybe you're you have a faster delivery of your product than the others. Show something that the others are ignoring, or they are yet to catch up, and then show proof of demand. Like, if you've made any pilot sales, if you have any waitlisted customers, if you have repeated customers, what is your repeat rate? Do you already have letters of intent? Do you have some purchase orders from some companies? Really establish yourself as a leader in the market. Next, it comes to the description of your business model. Now, here also, it's very important to know who you are and to present yourself authentically. So explain how you're generating revenue, or how you are going to generate revenue. Are you going to cater to other businesses? Are you directly selling to customers, or are you doing a mix of both? But the business model is not just about how you're making money, but also about how you're going to sustain it in the long run. And investors are seasoned players. They will be very quick to spot any discrepancies. So don't think of I'll only be able to impress an investor if I exaggerate my numbers to a great deal, because investors can catch that pretty early on. It is best to maintain clarity, accuracy, and be very, very realistic. So here I'm giving you two options of two different pitch decks. Both of these are examples of companies that are selling softwares as a product. And so in one pitch deck, the company mentioned, we are generating revenue through ads on our platform. The other company says, our SaaS product costs rupees 500 per month per user. We have a 60% gross margin on each product. We already have 450 plus paying customers. Now, while you might think that for a SaaS product, 450 customers is not a lot, but you're providing a lot of details, and you're also providing them clear economics of what your gross percentages are, what your cost is. So an investor is more likely to actually believe you and follow you on for the rest of your pitch. They want to hear more from you. Then go-to-market strategy is the place where you show investors that you have already thought through a clear, practical path to the market, and not just, this is a golden opportunity, a golden goose that you're chasing around. You bring them into your plan with specific details, such as what sort of sales channels are you choosing? What partnerships have you already secured? What will be the channels that you are integrating? Are you going to go for quick commerce? Are you going to go with online only? Are you going to mainly focus on offline stores for now? And what are the early pilots? What is the real data that you've collected from your early GTM experiments? What is working for you? What is not working for you? That can also bring in that dose of reality, that the investors are looking for, that you're honest about it, you're there to seek their guidance, not just to take their money, but also seek their guidance on how to grow your company. And for example, here I have a health tech pitch that I reviewed, and this company was selling ventilators. Now, all health tech pitches end with the same thing, that we are going to sell our products to all hospitals. Again, that is really vague. Instead, if the pitch says that we are going to start with mid-sized private hospitals in tier 1 cities because they have a shorter decision cycle, so they can get back to us much more quickly than other companies. And we already have 3 pilot agreements signed. We have 3 MOUs with such and such hospital. That again brings a lot of credibility. That makes the investor trust you, that you've done your homework, you're already in this. This sort of information is much more specific and credible. So the next part is traction and metrics. This is where you you establish the credibility of your story with actual tangible numbers. Even if they are small, it does not matter, but you're actually showing your true story, how your revenue is growing, or how you expect it to grow. What is your user engagement? If you have a public platform, or if you have software, what sort of user engagement do you have? Do you have any LOIs? Do you have pilots? What is your customer repeat rate? And in this case, rather than showing the investor a lot of text, it's better to use a lot of slides to show your numbers graphically. And here, it's not just revenue that matters. It's also what your customers are getting out of your product or technology. So that would be any metric, that takes your idea from a promising idea to a validated opportunity, to a company that actually makes money. So here is an example. This is actually from an agri-tech company. So they were not generating a lot of revenue in their early years. So what they did instead is they showcased the percent yield their farmers were, the increment in their percent yield their farmers were getting with every harvest. So they showed their year-on-year growth for the harvest yield, and this particular pitch actually ended with a short video testimonial from one of their farmers where they said, if you shut down tomorrow, we would be in trouble. That sort of testimonial coming from your customer directly, that in your investor, more trust than you can build through 10 slides and revenue projections for the next 5 years and so. This is something that actually establishes both impact and demand for your product. So that is very, very crucial to get your investors interested. Finally, when you come to financials and projections, it's not just enough to show the revenue projections for upcoming years, but also state the assumptions clearly. What your assumptions are behind these projections. How are you? What sort of profit do you expect to make every year? How are you going to utilize that fund? So if the assumptions are realistic, then the investor also gets an idea of that you are someone who is practical and fully knowledgeable in this field, and they also get a good idea of what sort of return they can expect from their investment, when they can expect to get an exit on their investment. So a common mistakes with financial projections we that I see in many pitch decks is saying like we aim to be $100 million company in 5 years. You might actually get to that point. You might actually be $100 million company in 5 years. But when you're in year one and you're claiming this, then this just seems like wishful thinking. This doesn't really this isn't something that your investor is likely to believe. Instead, if you give them a clear breakdown on how you're going to, grow year after year, you say, we are targeting 500 small to medium enterprises at this point, and we intend to make 1,000 rupee per month, giving us 60 lakhs in annual revenue. And with our existing distribution power, we can expect to acquire 5 times customers in the second year, which would allow us to scale to 3 crores of revenue. And with the scale up, we expect our margins to improve by 20%. So this second option is showing you a clear path year after year rather than vague promises. So this also gives your investors a very clear idea on how they can invest, how they can expect their money which they have invested in your startup to grow, and how they can what they can expect in return. Then comes the team slide. Now, this is also a very, very important section, and it is very often neglected. Team slide is incredibly important because as a part of SIIC, when we screen startup application, not just from an investor perspective, but even from an incubation perspective, the team slide really gives us a lot of information on whether this is the right team to solve the problem that has been presented. Do they have the right fit? Do they have the relevant experience? Are there, too many people with similar skills in the team, or are there, or is this a team where every member has a complementary skill so that they can balance each other? One of the mistakes that I often see in pitch decks is slides like this. Like there will be one slide saying brains behind the company, or just the detail of the founder and the co-founder, and that is it. No other details are available. And about the co-founder and founder also really vague, like 10 years of experience, 15 years of experience, and so on. So mostly the information provided would be in technical expertise in this, technical expertise in that, and that is it. No other information about who is going to look after the business end of things, who is going to look after your asset management, who are the other people who are the part of the core team. This is where your investor is looking for details to make sure that you are the team that can actually deliver on what you're promising. Investors want to see the strength of your team, and they want to understand how the skill set of every individual complements the others in the team. A strong team actually instills a lot of confidence in the investor and makes them more likely to back your venture. So when you're coming to the grand finale, you present your ask. That is, what is the funding amount that you're seeking? And you give them clear breakdown of how you're going to utilize this fund. And it cannot be like 100% of this fund will be used for scale-up operation. That is unlikely. Give them a clear breakdown of what percent of fund is going to be utilized for what, Give them a sense of urgency that, why is this the correct time for them to invest, and then leave them with one clear next step. Don't leave it up, everything up in the air. Give them a clear I don't want to say deadline, but a sort of timeline that you're expecting to close this round by this time. So, if some investor thinks that they are interested or you're potentially a good fit for them, let's connect after this meeting. Let's connect after this deck. So give them a very clear next step to focus on. So instead of saying, I know there's a lot of text, so let me just walk you through this. Instead of saying, I need 5 crores, give them specific detail. I need 5 crores to grow from 1200 to 10,000 users in 18 months. What are you going to use this funds for? You show them a pie chart, like I'm expecting, 50% of this funds for Operation Scale Up. I'm expecting 30% of this fund for as customer acquisition cost. I'm expecting 20% of this to upgrade our product. Explain what you expect the outcome to be, like a 12 crore ARR, and you are planning a Series A fundraise in late 2026. Give them a sense of purpose and urgency. I already have 2 investors who I'm in discussions with, so I am expecting to close this round soon. I would appreciate if any investor is interested, I would appreciate to connect with them, the opportunity to actually discuss with them to take this further. So this sort of information is clear, grounded, and gives your investors a clear next step, to a follow-up meeting, a demo session, or a deep dive through your company financials, your profit or loss statements, and a strong finish to your pitch deck. Finally, I would also like to briefly talk about the way you're designing your pitch decks. A couple of common mistakes that I usually see is using a variety of different colors. Your pitch deck does not need to be a rainbow, okay? Focus on 1 or 2 primary colors, use a couple of colors as accent, but don't make it a rainbow filtered design. Keep the text minimal. Each slide should be really, really clutter free. And also, I'm not opposed to using AI. You're completely free to use AI, but make sure you are reading and editing the output. A very common mistake I see in pitch decks is AI, excuse me, AI does not have your creativity. AI tends to use the same adjective over and over again. So if every single slide your investor encounters has, we are excited, we are thrilled, this is exciting, these are our numbers, that raises a lot of trust issues, that raises a lot of suspicion on how much of your content, how much of what you're presenting is credible and how much of it is inflated or AI exaggerated. Also, when you're using your images in slides, use your real product images. If possible, use if you have a model of your product, if it's something that has not been put to production yet, but you have a working model of it. Use an image of the model versus an AI generated image. This is something that I had also discussed at the start of my presentation. AI generated images are pretty easy to spot. And once you inundate a presentation with AI generated image, your investors' trust takes a hit. They are less likely to believe you. They are less likely to believe the text also you're presenting, because all they can see are these images that are clearly user generated. Also, each slide should have one focus. Don't try to combine multiple points into one slide. If you have noticed my presentation so far, I have kept every slide on one particular topic only. I'm not discussing, 3 or 4 related topics in one slide. That's actually really important for a pitch deck as well. If each slide is focused, clear, and it has a very specific and clear message, then the investor is more likely to follow that. And also keep minimal text on your slide so that the investor is focused on you and not busy reading your slide when you're going through your pitch deck and presenting your information. So, design is not just decoration, and make sure, your slides are don't require a magnifying glass. The font size and everything is perfect. If your story is clear, then your slides will just act as supports to your story and not a wall. So, as we come to the end of this presentation, I just want to say that a great pitch is not about slides, numbers, or jargon. It's about telling a story that makes the investors believe in you. So, if you forget everything else, just keep 3 things in mind. Be honest, so that your investor can also sense that honesty and you build that trust with your investor. Be clear in your ask, be clear with your numbers, be specific. And, once you have a story that your investor believes in, and they will be invested in your team and your journey ahead. You don't have to have every single answer to every single question they have on day one. What matters is, showing up with clarity of thought, with humility, with momentum and conviction that you are the right people to solve this problem that really needs to be solved. So, go out there and tell your story with confidence and trust that the investors will want to read the rest of your book. They'll be invested in, the next chapter of your journey. Thank you. And with that, we come to an end, and I would like to take any questions that you all might have. So please feel free to share your questions in the comment box. I see a lot of attendees, so that's great. Do any of you have any specific questions for me? Okay, so I see a question. Is there a way to choose a color theme for more impact? So this is a good question. So you can see, I would say go with the feel of your company. For example, if you are selling a lifestyle product, then you want it to be really vibrant, right? But you also want to keep it professional. So, you can look for color combinations that are vibrant yet professional. So something like, yellow and gray, orange and blue, some color themes that really speak to your company's vibe. If you're selling something, for example, like a clean tech startup, if you have a clean tech startup, for example, you're testing water quality. So maybe, you keep it in the color theme of water, keep it blue and all. But just make sure that, your pitch stands out from the rest, but not so much that it becomes an eyesore rather than something attractive. How much of technical details should we put on a primary pitch? Okay, so this is a great question. So, like I said, you should put as much technical detail that can be understood by a non-expert in your field. I'm not saying that you should remove every single technical specification you have about your product. You can keep the more detailed information as a backup slide. But in your primary pitch deck, make sure you have information that can be easily understood by non-experts in your field, and that would make them invested, even if you are presenting something that is really technical. So I'll give you an example, and because the person who asked this is actually a person who tests water quality, so I'll give you an example on that. So let's say in during water quality, some of the very common parameters that you report on is the presence of phosphates, nitrates, suspended solids, algae, and other biological contamination. So what would be really useful is if you can consolidate all of them, all of these parameters, like fertilizers, phosphates, nitrates. These are all fertilizers, and the presence of fertilizer will encourage biological growth in water, making it unsafe for drinking or other use. So you can consolidate your information in that sort of way. And if the investor is really interested in knowing a lot more technical detail from you, you pull up your backup slide, you present them the complete specification that they are seeking. Okay, so then I see, could you please share some sample pitch deck to gain ideas? Sure. So if you have seen in today's presentation, I have shared sample pitches with every sample slides with every point that I have covered. If you're if you still want to, learn more about this, we'll be happy to provide you a sample pitch deck. Just write to our, if you are our incubated staff, write to your domain head, they'll contact us, or you can directly write to SIIC's LinkedIn. Then valuate the financial detail, and you must share it, and you should have some credibility attached to it. How did you come up with this number? Is it based on your the revenue that you're generating? Is it based on some third party estimation of your valuation? Just make sure the valuation that you're giving is clear and credible, not something that is not something that feels inflated or exaggerated. And share dilution, your cap table, all of this information should be clearly shared with your investor if they are interested in investing in you. Then could you please show with a slide example to how exactly we have to show the team part? So with the team part, I'm sorry I didn't have a sample slide for that today. But with the team part, when we evaluate pitch decks, what we usually like to see is who are the members in your core team, not just your technical team. Who is heading your business? Who is managing your staff? Who is managing your factories? If it's a SaaS or a platform-based product or technology, who is managing your platform? Who is managing your website? So, and what are their credibility? What is their educational background? How much of professional experience have they had? What we are really looking for is not a one-man army, because one or two persons cannot run a company. You have to have a credible team, which would, in turn tell me that your team is trustworthy and we can bet money on your team. How to decide what % of equity is a fair number versus funds committed? I'm sorry, I don't think I'll be the right person to answer this, because I think, in order to answer this, the person would have to have a fair knowledge about the financials of your company. And I wouldn't be able to answer this, but I would encourage you to follow it up with some of the other people in our organization who are better equipped to handle this, like our investment team, for example. For the market size, what should be considered, local or global or specific regions? It depends on what your ambitions are. If it's something, if you're thinking of this would be a good test. A good test would be to test out the local audience first and then take it global. Then that's a great approach to follow. And that is how you should also state your market size accordingly. The numbers that you're providing, you can provide, these are my assumptions that this is the for India market only, or I'm looking at the Asia Pacific market, or I'm looking at the developed countries only, or I'm looking at pan global presence. So that would be good. Then suggestions to present the business as a whole instead of problem solution traditional single product pitch. So I would say even if you present it as a problem solution pitch, it would still it would still present as a whole. I do not mean to say that you can only present one product in a single pitch deck. That is not the intention at all. But unless you clearly define the problem and the way that you are going to take to solve this problem, your investor might think that you have too many ideas and that would create a lot of clutter and confusion. Your investor might be confused, okay, you seem to have 6 different ideas. Which project are you pitching in for? What am I investing in? Okay, so then a follow-up question we have is, most of the time we are asked to send pitch decks on email or upload on portal. We don't know who is accessing the file. So should we have 2 types of pitch, one for uploading and one file consent? I think this is a great question and I agree. You should have 2 types of pitch. When you're pitching in person, you can afford to have omit a lot of details from your slide. Keep it clutter free. Like I said, the attention of your investor should be on you as the speaker, and they shouldn't have to go back and forth between your slides and you, because you are the person they are assessing. They are betting on the jockey, not the horse, right? So you are the person who should be presenting your company with full confidence. And if you're asked to email a pitch deck or upload it, yes, you should definitely keep it a little more detailed, because then it is easier for a person who is assessing your pitch deck to really understand everything about your company and understand the details that they are seeking. All right, so I think I've answered all the questions. It was great to have so many attendees. It's great to see such a great turnout. And like I said, please follow our LinkedIn page to know more about our upcoming event called Fuel: Funding, Upscaling and Enabling Leaders. This will be a great event to connect our investment ready startups to serious investors. We are holding this in our Noida SIIC IIT Kanpur Outreach Center. So and if you have any other questions, please make sure you follow us on our social media handles. We would love to hear from you. Thank you.